Course is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
A good Wednesday evening, everyone. Welcome to the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. We're going to take a look at the Thursday card for October 27th. Just 3 programs remaining for the 2022 fall meet at Keeneland before a brief, and I mean brief respite until the Breeders' Cup returns a week from Friday, November 4th and 5th. We had some action on the racetrack today that was heavy on the favorites and the short prices. 6 of 8 races went to horses 5-2 or less on the Wednesday program. When that happens, I'm not going to have a very good day. I don't pick a lot of chalk, so just one winner for me on the card today. Still up for the meet, $30.84, the profit on the $2 ROI. Let's hold our cross our fingers, try to finish strong these final 3 days, and see if we can't get a little bit better prices on the Thursday card than what we saw on Wednesday. I can tell you this, based on the morning line, I got some shots for you, a couple 15s, a 12. So there's some horses to look at on the Thursday program. Before we get to that, we want to talk a little Breeders' Cup update here at Keeneland today. The pre-entries were accepted for the Breeders' Cup, and 205 horses were thrown into the pre-entry melee over the 14 races. 45 of those international contenders, including Europe, Japan. So 205 pre-entries. We're going to have big fields in almost all of the divisions. Of course, the distaff's probably going to go with 7 or 8, and we're probably looking at 8 or 9 in the Classic, depending if Cyberknife goes to the Dirt Mile as expected. Not a lot of big missing links in the pre-entry box. I think most of the horses people wanted to see in there and expected to see in there did pre-enter. We'll see the news over the next 8, 9, 10 days until we get to the Breeders' Cup, if we can keep those fields together as expected, and that everybody makes it up to the race healthy and happy. And that's what we're all looking for a great championship. In terms of the Breeders' Cup divisions where you had cross entries, probably the race that's most volatile right now would be the Sprint. The Sprint's got 4 really interesting horses who are cross-entered, not only in the Sprint, but other races. And they have preference in other races in some cases. In some cases, it's the Sprint. But these 4 horses are all horses who would be in the main body of the field, deciding on which one they wanted to go in. Jack Christopher, either in the Sprint or the Dirt Mile. Kamari, the filly, either in the Sprint or the filly and mare Sprint. Gunite in the Dirt Mile or the Sprint, coming back off of his win just a couple weeks ago. Last week here at Keeneland, we'll be coming back on 2 weeks rest if he runs. And then the filly from a Change of Love, the filly from Japan. She could go in the filly mare Sprint, or she could go in the Sprint. She's cross-entered in both, and she's chosen in the main body of the field in both. So those are 4 major players in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Of course, Jackie's Warrior, last year's champion from the Eclipse Awards, but defeated in the Breeders' Cup Sprint by Aloha West. Both of those runners are back in the Sprint. So how the Sprint shakes out and what that field looks like by the time we get to entry day on Monday is probably the most interesting thing, I think, to come out of today's pre-entries. On the racetrack this morning, the major work was Blue Stripe for the Breeders' Cup Distaff, the filly and mare for Marcelo Palanca. Worked 5 furlongs in a minute flat. Of course, Blue Stripe, a famous kin to Blue Prize, the Argentines, and Blue Prize in 2019 won the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and of course won the Spinster here at Keeneland twice. So Well connected, well bred, blue stripe coming off a win in the Clement Hirsch, former South American, has come north and earned her way into the Breeders' Cup Distaff. But whoo, what a salty bunch she's going to run into on Breeders' Cup Saturday. That Breeders' Cup Distaff with Nest and Malathot, the Todd Pletcher trainees, Secret Oath, the Kentucky Oaks winner. You've got Clariere and Steve Asmussen's got a dual-barreled attempt there with Society, who was the fast winner, the Cotillion. So I'm probably even missing somebody just going off the top of my head in that distaff. What a great division that promises to be. One of the best races on the entire Breeders' Cup weekend for sure. Flightline is at Keeneland. He's bedded down and he's home there now. He's going to work on Saturday. So the world's top ranked horse will get a work over the track at Keeneland on Saturday, as we mentioned to you yesterday. But if you didn't catch last night's show, then that might be some news to you there, that Flightline will work at Keeneland on Saturday in his final tune-up for the Breeders' Cup. We'll try to keep you updated on all the Breeders' Cup news in this space each night as we look ahead to the next day at Keeneland. Thursday program is a 9-race card traditionally, and that's what we've got here, a 9-race program. And we're going to get a look at the handicapper selectors box, give you a chance to take a look at the picks from the various public handicappers throughout the course of the program. My graphic is missing right now for the look ahead, so I'm going to work on getting that together while you peruse the handicappers picks here. Give me just one moment. Take a look down the program and see where we match up, where we have agreement, where we have disagreement, where the top picks may come from that are heavily bet by the public, and where the races might be wide open, where we'll spread out. I'll be right back with you in just a moment as we get set here and get my graphics set up for tonight. All right, set to go there. Sorry for the short delay, but here's the Keeneland look ahead for the 9-race program and how things line up on the track and in the wagering sphere for us. We've got the pick 5 to start things in race number 1. And then we're going to move on to the pick 4 starting in race number 2. The pick 6 starts in race number 4. No carryover. It was hit today. Almost a double carryover. Nose photo finish in the last race kept from more than $100,000 carryover from occurring. Race number 5 is the swing race with a pick 5 starting in race number 5 and also ending in race number 5. Race number 6 will start the late pick 4, and then our 2 turf races on the day will be races 5 and 8. I've got a couple long shot prices that I told you about. They're starting early in the card in races 1 and 3, so we'll tune you in on who those are. And, one of the things about the turf today, if you watch the races at Keeneland today, both turf races on the card were mile and an eighth allowance races. Both were won wire to wire by horses who ran off and hid. That hasn't been the profile for much of the meet, speed was good opening weekend at Keeneland on the turf, then kind of went south for a little while. Now, with 2 wire-to-wire winners, with the temperatures dropping, we were in the 40s today. Temps only supposed to get up into the mid-50s on Thursday. Curious how the turf course is going to play. Did it really firm up underneath with the cold weather? That's plausible in a scenario on why speed held so well today on the grass course. I've been handicapping for closers, and you'll see in my picks when we get to those 2 turf races. Now I'm a little concerned that I might want to be working in some of the speed horses. And this is why you got to adjust and adapt as a horse player to what you're seeing and the conditions as they change. Mother Nature probably has more impact on track condition than anything. So I'm going to be looking at my key plays. Again, I've got some horses in the morning line that are big prices early. Key play 2 is in races 5 and 8. I'm going to have to probably work a little bit of speed in there into my thought process, because I was going heavy to the closers in races 5 and 8. And after seeing the racing today, I think I want to mix that up a little bit. And then I think we've got a little Churchill speed in race number 7 at another nice price that we can work into the mix. Let's get handicapping on this 9-race program. And the first on the card, I've got Words of Wisdom on top at 15-1 in the morning line. Scott's also got the 3 on top at 15-1, and Gabby's got the 3 on top at 15-1. So are we getting 15-1? No. this horse is going to get bet more than that, but I think we'll still get a decent price on Words of Wisdom, a class dropper moving to the Tim Gleishaw barn. You want speed in these races, going a mile and an eighth, especially at this lower claiming level. It's kind of counterintuitive. You think the longer they go, the more closers have a chance. But in cheaper racing, the longer they go, none of the horses really want to go a mile and an eighth. So those who exact an advantage early tend to hold it. So I'm looking for horses with some early pace about them. Words of Wisdom at Ellis Park showed really good speed going wire to wire. Back at Fairgrounds, when going a two-turn race on the dirt, went to the front. At Oaklawn, went towards the front. The two-turn race was at Fairgrounds, I should say, or at Fairgrounds was on the turf. But Words of Wisdom is a horse who's got some tactical speed and a good post position to use it in post 3. I don't think the 2 never changed for Todd Pletcher's got a whole lot of early speed, just kind of looks like a plugger who's on the slower side, so they've got to go a mile and an eighth in that case. Never Change could win this, but I think tactically Words of Wisdom is going to be in front of that one for much of the running. Also expect to see maybe some speed from the 1 Coastal Chaos in there. I want the front end horses in a non-winners of 2 lifetime going a mile and an eighth. It's just a situation where I don't think class is a big deal at this kind of class level necessarily. I think it's about getting some pace. And if you have a horse dropping in class and with pace, like number 3 Words of Wisdom, then that's the way I would lean. I think the outside runner, Fort Defiance, might also show some speed in here. That's Tom Leach's top pick. I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Hernandez tries to put that one near the front. Went to the front at Turfway and breaking the maiden last December. So these guys see, the situation. There's not a ton of speed in this race. Somebody's probably going to try to go out there that you don't necessarily expect. But I like the 3 in here. Words of Wisdom, I certainly like the price at 15 to 1 in the morning line. Look, with 3 of us picking the same horse on top at 15 to 1, we're not getting 15 to 1. But I think if you get 5, 6 to 1, that's still a play. Wouldn't want to go below 5 to 1 in this particular spot. But one of my key plays of the day, I say I've got morning line favorites at 15, or morning line plays at 15 to 1 or more in races 1 and 3. So let's try to get the early pick 5 started with the 3 Words of Wisdom. Honestly, this is a race where you could use a few of them. I would not have any argument going 3, 2, 1, and 7, going 4 deep to get things started. It's kind of a little bit of a grab bag when the non-winners of 2 claimers go a mile and an eighth. Second race on the card starts the early pick 4, and this is a dual condition claimer for 3-year-olds or non-winners of 3 lifetime. But in this particular case, the dual condition doesn't mean a whole lot because they're all non-winners of 3 lifetime. 50,000 claimers, a mile and a 16th. Camp David is the horse I went with. Leading jockey Tyler Gaffalione rides here. Gaffalione coming off a 3-win day today, Wednesday at Keeneland. He's now got 17 on the meet, 2 more than Luis Saez. So he's up 17-15 with 3 days to go in the race 4 leading jockey. Gaffalione rides this one for Mike Maker on the big class drop coming out of the Hawthorne Derby. It is a turf to dirt move, but that's something that Maker does in these races at Keeneland often with the turf to dirt move. And this horse won over the track in an off the turf race back in October. They were trying to get on the grass. They couldn't, but Camp David won easily anyway over the main track, and then added another win at Indiana Grand on the main track last year. So earlier this year in May. So Camp David can definitely handle the main track. Don't worry too much about that turf form in the last couple. But you've got Maker, you got Gaffalione, good connections on the class drop. I'll take Camp David in here. Carmichael also one to consider, but Carmichael, it took 19 tries to win the non-winners of 2 lifetime. Last time out, did score a win at Horseshoe Indianapolis, the former Indiana Grand, in a good time. I mean, in terms of speed figures, the 81 speed figure for Carmichael last time would certainly put that horse right in the mix with folks who use the speed figures in their handicapping. Certainly would be a major contender in here, if not the horse to beat with that 81. But, again, Carmichael, 19 tries to get through the non-winners of 2 lifetime condition. Now going against these horses that are essentially non-winners of 3. I like the fact Camp David did it in 7 starts, and actually did it in 4 starts to get to the 2 wins, but only 7 starts on the resume to be eligible in this condition. Carmichael, 19 tries already. I think the horse will hit the board, run well, but not a win bet for me. I'm going to go in here with Camp David and probably a horse that you might get away with singling here. You might go too deep with Carmichael, but I wouldn't get too much deeper than that. 6 and 5 look like the horses to me. And if you look across the handicappers selectors box, 4 of us have Camp David on top, Carmichael right in there, then the 1 Super Design. Those are really the 3 major contenders consistently all around. And I have no disagreement with that. As you see, I have it as 6, 5, and 1. But single Camp David or go too deep, and then I probably hit the pause button there on using any more horses in the early pick 4. which starts here in race number 2. And of course, the second race would be the second leg of the pick 5. Third race on the card is the second of my 2 long shot tabs early in the program. Again, in my key play number 1, we've got some long shots here to look at. And for me, it's Wild Behavior for trainer Joe Sharp, a trainer who's capable of bringing in some long shots here at Keeneland. We've seen it time and again. Wild Behavior, I'm on an island, the only one with this horse picked on top. In fact, only Scott's got the horse second. Nobody else giving Wild Behavior much chance in here. But I love these horses by Into Mischief over the main track at Keeneland. He's produced more winners here at Keeneland as a sire than anybody since we went back to dirt in the fall of 2014. And, this is a horse who I think is speed, and there's only 2 speed horses, I think, in this race. And speed does very well 6 furlongs at this kind of claiming level. Wild Behavior stablemate is the other speed horse in here, I think. The 2 horses trained by Joe Sharp. It's Montauk Daddy's the other horse on the outside who's got the early pace. I don't think anybody else in this race has a lot of early foot. So when one trainer has both horses controlling the pace, in the old days, you'd have an entry and you wouldn't have to decide between the 2. But now where there's no couplings of mutual entries in these kind of races, we don't know who Joe Sharp's going to send to the front and who he might kind of want to take back a little bit. He's got speed jockey Luis Saez on the 2. He's got a speed jockey Gerardo Corrales on his outside horse Montauk Daddy, the 8. So one of these Joe Sharp horses is probably going to defer to the other and not go out and duel each other in the ground. That doesn't seem like the right thing to do. I'm going to say that Luis Saez gets the stronger hold here of the horses. Wild Behavior's coming out of a race against Beverly Park, the winningest horse in the country this year. I believe he's got 11 wins on the season. So Wild Behavior's coming out of a really strong race. And, I think you got Saez there over Corrales. I think this is going to be where the stronger of the 2 Joe Sharp horses are. 29% is a jock trainer combo at Keeneland with Saez and Sharp. So I'm going with the 2 Wild Behavior. We're 15-1 in the morning line. Again, do I think we're going to get that price? Maybe a little bit less, but you're in the 10-1 range for sure. I think with Wild Behavior, 8-10-1, I would take something down in there, even maybe 6. I'd even go down to 6 on Wild Behavior. Like him a decent amount in this spot. Other horses to consider: Reed Can and California Street. The other ones in there for me: Asmussen and Diodoro. For a 20,000 claimer, there's some name barns in here for sure that are always worth respecting. And I'll just take Wild Behavior in here, and I'm going to actually be pretty bullish on this one at 15-1 in the morning line. Again, I would not argue with somebody. Just let's hook our anchor to this one and try to get him home. And if we do, then we can spread our wings some other places and pick 4s and pick 5s. Again, I have a lesser opinion. I mean, I've got 15-1s in the first race and the third race. The one in the third I like a lot more than I do in the first. So I'm bullish enough to maybe even single here with Wild Behavior in race number 3 and take our chances and see how it turns out. It would certainly separate us from the public. Let's go to race number 4 on the card. It starts the pick 6. Again, no carryover in the pick 6. Was hit today. Darn near a carryover. The nose finish in the last race kept it from a carryover. But if you hit it with the winner in the finale, then you are very thankful that the nose went your way. Picks for me here in the 4th race as we start the pick 6. And we go to the handicapper selectors box. Bear Oak, my top choice in here. Also the second pick for Gabby and Kim. And Scott's got Bear Oak second as well. So a horse that's among the contenders, but I'm the only one that took Bear Oak on top. I like the last race coming off third place finish at Churchill last time in starter allowance company. We're in a starter allowance again. I want to see a little more early speed out of this horse, though, because at a mile and a 16th in starter allowance company, I think you want to be forwardly placed in here. You don't want to get too far behind. Last time Bear Oak was kind of out of the element and farther back than usual. The change of jockey here is a big deal. You go to Florent Giroux, who is a really good front-end jock. He's going to get Bear Oak, I think, into the race a lot sooner. And when Bear Oak was up close on the pace at Belterra, Indianapolis, good finishes. So get out of the gate, get going with Bear Oak, and I think we got a chance. If this horse is going to run well, he's going to be 1, 2, 3 into the first turn, and that's what we want to see. Giroux did not ride at Keeneland on Wednesday, back for the card on Thursday. My top pick in here, Bear Oak. Leader of Men, also when you want to definitely keep an eye on it here. Leader of Men, top pick for the gals in here. Gabby and Kim both have this one on top. My second pick. Ron Moquette changed this one. A little break, August to October. Good race at Churchill for the mile and an eighth. Now, the cutback to the mile and a 16th is going to help this horse run a better race by Warfront. I don't think that really pedigree was screaming to go the mile and an eighth. And the way the horse faded in the end, the running line suggests that as well. Now you go to Joel Rosario, positive jockey switch. A horse who's run well at Keeneland last year in a 32,000 claimer at this time of the year. Ran a good second while being up near the pace. Look for Rosario to get leader of men into the race early. Bear Oak, leader of men, top two in here for me. Can't Bet 'em All is an interesting horse because Can't Bet 'em All has been favored in six races in a row, 7 of the last 8. Public bets this one often, and he wins often. Look, you can't argue with the record, 10 for 33 lifetime, 6 out of 11 this year for Can't Bet 'em All. Traveled around. They're using that starter allowance condition. Jamie Grubb's doing a good job spreading this horse into winnable spots and looking for them in the condition book at various tracks around the country where they fit. Can't Bet 'em All would not be a surprise in here. Top pick in here for Scott. And I think you get by with those three. Gigging is a contender in here as well. A horse who's won over the track here at Keeneland. Wouldn't be surprised. But I think Gigging's going to get a little further behind than some of the others. So top 3 in here, very playable. I would use them. Good options in this race. When I talk about spreading in a race, I'm looking for good options, not bad races where I can't find anything. Like race number 1, there aren't a lot of great options. So I'm spreading because I really can't get an embraceable play. So that might keep me out of the pick 5 because there are horses I don't like and I'm forced to spread. Whereas race number 4, there are 3 good contenders in here at least to choose from and hard to separate. But Bear Oak, leader of men, Can't Bet 'em All. Those would be the top contenders for me in race number 4. We hit the midway point on a 9-race card in race number 5. It's the swing race in the early pick 5 and the late pick 5. So this race is part of both of those sequences. It's one of 2 turf races on the program. And as I mentioned, the 2 turf races today at a mile and an eighth, Keeneland just wire-to-wire jobs. One at a 7-1 price, another horse that figured a little bit more. But you just wonder how the turf is going to play as we get to the Thursday card, if speed's going to be tough again. I was looking for closers, Kentucky Downs horses. Kentucky Downs runners have been exceptional at the meet in the allowance ranks here. They've done exceptionally well on the grass allowance races, the horses from off the pace. So that's what I was looking for when I handicapped, and I went with Mint Edition on top, Bravo Kitten second. And you can see these are 2 horses that are just closers from Kentucky Downs. Now, can they both, one of the 2 make their move and get there? That's the hope. But I think if you want to include some speed in here, you wouldn't be wrong to get a horse who's got a little bit of pace into your mix. And that could be Gal Wonder. Gal Wonder's not a total front runner, but a horse who likes to be a little bit closer to the pace than the other horses I have in this spot. Gal Wonder gets Joel Rosario up for Josie Carroll, one of the top trainers in Canada. She's had good horses for a long time. And when she brings a horse here to Keeneland, you should certainly respect it. Trying to find where that speed may come from, not necessarily an open and shut case. 261, who is the 5 horse in here. It's hard with the name to figure, but number 5, 261 is going to have some early speed in here. I would think get on the bus, maybe a little speed out of the 8 hole, Fantail out of the 9. So, maybe you're looking at the 5, the 8, 9, something like that of the horses that you might want to add if you're trying to incorporate some of the speed from what we saw today. But now if you look across again, none of the handicappers are looking at a whole lot there with those kind of runners, right? I mean, not a lot of people going for 261 in here, and the 8 and 9. 5, 8, 9 doesn't show up a whole lot of places. Get on the bus gets a call there from Tom Leach. But 5, 8, 9 might get mixed into your plays in here. And I think you want to get a little bit of coverage in this particular spot. So Mint Edition, the top pick. I would use Bravo Kitten, the 11. I would use the 10. And then again, out of the 5, 8, 9, whatever you can afford to mix in, and whichever one of those speed horses you determine to be the most effective might be the way to go in adding them into your plays. Let's go to race number 6 next up. The pick 4 starts in race number 6. It's a maiden special weight, the 2-year-old fillies. And the public's done a really good job with these races. The 2-year-old maiden specials have been races where the public's been dialed in. And we've got a really interesting runner in this one. His name is Rarify. And her name is Rarify, I should say. She's by Triple Crown winner Justify and out of Bella Jolie. And if that damn sounds slightly familiar to you, you probably know the horse Run Happy. You certainly know the marketing campaign Run Happy, but the horse Run Happy, the Breeders' Cup Sprint winner from over the track here at Keeneland back in 2015. Run Happy now at stud, is doing well, not outstanding, but he's had some success. Rarify is a really well-bred filly. She takes the blinkers off in her third start. She's been bet to favoritism twice and runs seconds, but she got beat and was clear seconds in that of the rest of the field. So she just hooked two horses that happen to be better at Saratoga this summer. The work tab looks good. Wesley Ward has his horses ready to run here at Keeneland. He goes to Joel Rosario. I'm on Rarify in this spot. And I could see, you can make the point that the horse got beat twice as the morning line favorite or at the post time favorite. So why do you want to go back again? I just think the move to Keeneland here is going to make the difference. And Wesley Ward, the way his horses perk up here at Keeneland, I would expect Rarify to break the maiden here in race number 6. Others to consider, you've got some early speed with Stellar Lady, broke slow and then rushed up nicely. So this horse definitely has some early speed. If there's a lot of pace in here, which there certainly could be, Malibu Toast looks like the one who could sit a little bit for trainer Brad Cox. Came from just off the pace to finish a good second in a blanket finish. The question with that race is everybody was on top of each other at the wire, a head, a neck, only a length and a half. So less than 2 lengths from the first 4 finishers in that. You wonder sometimes if those are the best races, but Malibu Toast certainly respect off the connections and the ability to sit a little bit in a race where if Rarify is going to win, we know how the Wesley Wards go. Their MO is going to be wire to wire. And so some other horses could get tired trying to chase, and then a horse passes along into the second spot to complete the exact. And Malibu Toast would make a lot of sense there. But I'm on Rarify. I think she's a single in race number 6. And as far as the late day multi-race wagers go in the 6th, then that gets you, race number 5 is going to start the late pick 5. So she's part of that as a single. And then race number 6, she starts off the late pick 4 as a single. But Rarify, I think, graduates in race number 6. Let's move to the 7th race on the card. We've got another non-winners and 2 claimer here. This one at a mile and a 16th. Horses from Churchill, horses with early speed are kind of the profile that you're looking for in these races. Historically, race number 7, I went with the 7 Civics class. This is Churchill speed, a nice fit, a style fit, if you will, as I like to say. Civics class under Jack Gilligan, his first time off the claim. Michelle Lovell had this runner. Now goes to the Phil Sims barn, and I would expect this horse to be tough near the front end. There's enough pedigree here by Street Sense out of Birdstone to get the mile on the 16th. The stretch out in distance doesn't bother me a whole lot. The career debut was terrible here. There's no doubt about it. So there could be a factor that Civics class does not like Keeneland. But that was in April on a sloppy track. The other races on a fast track have all been better. So was it Keeneland? Was it the slop? Was it just not the day for this colt first time out, not knowing what was going on and just, lost in the mix? We'll see. But I'm giving Civics class a shot here in race number 7. At which should be a nice price. We're looking at 12-1 in the morning line on Civics class, and I think this horse will get let go at a price. Was 6-1 last time. Again, Gilligan stays aboard, so you're not getting like a big name rider who's going to drop the price on this horse a ton. So I think Civics class is going to offer a fair price, and that 12-1 in the morning line, I certainly am willing to take a shot there. Now, this race has got a real X factor in race number 7. It's Happy Boy Rocket, a horse who was one of the favorites for the Tampa Bay Derby after a nice win at Gulfstream back in January. But nothing has gone right in the last couple starts. Has been beaten a city block in all 3. Now, Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott said enough, and the connections have decided to geld Happy Boy Rocket. Now, the horse ran on October the 1st, and it's coming back 26 days later with the gelding in between. I like to see a horse first-time gelding have a little bit more time in between, preferably 2 months or more before they come back and see some real change. But if Happy Boy Rocket wakes up and is back to that early 3-year-old form from this year, certainly could be a factor for this $50,000 level. But I'm on Civics class in here at 12-1, like quite a bit. Implementation should show some speed from the inside on the class drop. It's Ward, it's Rosario. They're certainly usable in this spot, but I like Civics class. And again, I don't want to go too deep in here because I don't have a lot of other horses that I'm a big fan of. Deep State had a shot in a similar race at Churchill, ended up middling and fading a bit on the back end. We got to see this one finish at a longer distance. Seems more like a miler to me, so I'm not wild about Deep State in this particular spot. Could we single a 12-1 shot? Why not? Civics class in race number 7. Going to be one of my key plays of the day. In fact, as you look at the key plays, this is the 3rd key play on the program. The eighth race on the card is we talked about having to be flexible after seeing the speed dominate with the colder temperatures and maybe the turf course firming up underneath them a bit today. Certainly not going to have any big thaw. It's going to be in the low 40s overnight in Kentucky. So, high of 55, I think, tomorrow. So, I don't think the turf's going to be very soft. I think it's going to stay pretty firm from the cold temperatures. And maybe speed holds again today or tomorrow as it did on the Wednesday card today. But again, I'm looking for Kentucky Downs closers in these turf allowance races. And so in my handicapping, I thought Personal Best from Off the Pace for trainer Shug McGahee, really well-bred Tappet War Flag filly. She got a victory last time going a little longer than this at Kentucky Downs. From Off the Pace, it was the maiden breaker. She wasn't far off of it, and this filly can track a little bit. She stalked the pace at Keeneland. So her pace versatility actually is going to make her tough in here. Personal Best for a McGahee barn that popped the winner here the other day. Insatiable's one to watch as well. Todd Pletcher takes over for Greg Sacco. Insatiable's an interesting runner because this horse with Sacco was all turf sprints. And now all of a sudden stretches out to 1 1/8. And you say, what's Pletcher doing with the sprinter going to the 1 1/8? Then I thought about it. I'm like, this kind of seems a little familiar. And I remember Todd Pletcher took Mind Control off of Greg Sacco. And when he was moved to his care, Mind Control had been a sprinter forever. And then Pletcher said, we're going 2 turns with Mind Control. And he found something. And Mind Control was a really serious miler this year, going around 2 turns. So maybe he sees something with Insatiable similar as he did with Mind Control. And so the stretch out around 2 turns, they stay on turf with Insatiable. But Pletcher with the sprinter route on a horse he took off Greg Sacco, there's something to be said there. So I think Insatiable is one that you definitely want to keep an eye on. Deep closer in here, My Sweet Story is another one for Nacho Correas. The barn's had a pretty good run here towards the middle back end of the meet with limited starters. He's done well with Chaminade as his rider. This horse has no speed whatsoever. So if speed holds again in race number 5, and you've seen 3 straight front-end winners on the turf over 2 days, then I'd be a little worried about My Sweet Story getting a piece of it on the underneath side of it. But Personal Best, Insatiable, neither one of those I don't think will be coming from the clouds. They should be fairly forward in here. So I think we're comfortable there with the 5 and the 3. As for, just trying to find some other horse who's going to go blaring out on the front end and try to take them wire to wire. Certainly Ms. Maribel on the far outside under Alex Achard. It's got speed, but cheap speed. Doesn't look to be of this kind of class level. The one who could be is This Name Is Okay. This Name Is Okay. Ran well in the Virginia Oaks, which has been a pretty live race going to the front. Last time in Stakes Company at Delaware Park also was pressing the pace. So This Name Is Okay might be the speed horse that you want to add if after the 5th race you see there's more speed just winning on the turf. But I think you get by here with Personal Best and Insatiable, the 5 and the 3. Let's go to the final race on the card. It's the 9th Maiden Claimers, $30,000 level here for the Maiden Claimers. I thought that Salta was the horse to beat in here, the 6. Keith DeSormo drops this one in class for a 3rd straight time. Was in the Fasig-Tipton Futurity out at Santa Anita. Then dropped in for $75,000 at Churchill and ran okay before getting tired late. Now drops again to 30. This is a big class drop by Carpe Diem, a 2-time graded stakes winner over this track at Keeneland. Should like the track. And when Keith DeSormo drops these Maiden Claimers, he hits at a high percentage. I know this is the 2nd drop in the maiden claiming ranks, but he usually finds the right spot for these horses to be competitive. I think Salta's the one to beat in here. Premium you want to watch on the front end. Another one with some early speed and on the class drop from Churchill. Steve Asmussen looking to add another win to his ledger for having a very good fall meet. The outside runner is Balsa, a Godolphin trainee for Brad Cox. They're giving up on this one, folks. This is just the fire sale. Made the lead, backed up twice, and maiden specials on the dirt and turf at Saratoga. Now you show up here for 30. The first-time gelding. Now this one, is getting more into the area that I like to see with the first-time gelding. Last race on September 1st, so you can be sure the first time the gelding operation probably took place shortly thereafter. And now we're back on almost 2 full months from September 1st to October 27th. That's a little more like it that I like to see with the first-time gelding. So certainly respect in there for Balsa. I think the top 3 are all playable, strong connections, and horses that you want to follow and use in the multi-race wagers. 6, 10, and 2, all horses that I want to have on my tickets. Gabby went with the 7 Ironside, the class dropper for Vicky Oliver. The Oliver Barn having a decent meet here. Another first-time gelding. But again, this horse just ran October 7th. Runs back second time at the meet and was gelded 20 days ago. We'll see if there's a major improvement right away. Matero, the 9, is the top pick for Scott. This is one who's making a turf-to-dirt switch. Been well-traveled. They try to get some of that ship and win money out of Delaware. Didn't quite work, or at Del Mar. Didn't work there, backing up. But you're going to get some speed out of Mataro, and you're going to get some action. I just don't know about 6 furlongs on the dirt lasting all the way. I would not put that one in my multi-race wagers on top, but certainly could make the lead and hold on for a piece. I think with the 6, 10, and 2, I just call it quits at that point in terms of my multi-race wagers. Wouldn't go any deeper than that. I guess we should note that Bolt Above the 3 is trained by Mark Cassie, won with a similar looking horse in the final race on the program today. Cassie had won opening day in the Alcibiades with Wonder Wheel, and then hadn't won another race until today's last race when he won with the favorite to wrap up the card. I believe the horse was 8 or 9 to 5. Similar look, though, to what we're seeing here. A maiden claimer on another class drop. Had some early speed. So maybe Bolt Above is one you might want to consider a little bit in the 9th race, but not a lot of great horses to embrace in a maiden 30. You wouldn't expect it to be so, but I'll use Salta, Balsa, and Premium for my trio. That wraps up the Keeneland Look Ahead for the Thursday program on October 27th. We'll be back with you Thursday night to look at the Friday card. Still some stakes action to come up this meet. Friday's got the Grade 3 Valley View Stakes and also the Myrtlewood, I believe, on the undercard for the 2-year-old sprinters, or 3-year. Myrtlewood is 2-year-old sprinters. And then on Saturday, we've got the Fayette and the Bryan Station. Grade 3 Fayette, they drove the field today. And the Bryan Station, what a field we've got in there. 16 of them. You've got Wit. You've got Classic Causeway. You got some really nice 3-year-old turfers going in the Bryan Station. And 16 horses entered that race. So popular at the entry box. We should have a capacity field for the Bryan Station on Saturday. We'll talk about that down the line. But for now, good luck. And from myself here at Horse Player Now and everybody at Keeneland, we'll talk to you tomorrow night when we look ahead to the Friday card. Good luck. First race tomorrow, 1 o'clock.